Most men are leaking their power every single day, and they don't even know it. Not through failures, not through their laziness, through their own hands. The ancient world knew something that modern society has buried under pornography, dopamine loops, and a culture designed to keep men weak and distracted. The secret is this: your seed is not waste, it's life force. And every time you release it carelessly, you are paying for your own imprisonment. Today, in Lone Warriors, we are not going to be talking about a trend. We are not talking about a Reddit challenge. We are talking about one of the oldest, most documented paths to masculine transformation ever recorded. This is semen retention, not as a theory, but as a recipe for change. Let's start with what is science and the sages agree on. The ancient Indian texts, specifically the teachings of Swami Sivananda, describe semen as ojas, vital energy, the most refined product of the human body. Sivananda wrote that it takes 40 drops of blood to produce 1 drop of this energy. Think about that. Your body is working at a cellular level to produce something rare, and most men flush it down a drain, chasing a 2-minute dopamine hit. But this is not just Eastern mysticism. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds in recorded history, was a lifelong celibate. He believed that his abstinence was directly connected to his capacity for invention. He said that the creative force and the sexual force are the same energy, only directed differently. Isaac Newton, celibate. Immanuel Kant, celibate. Beethoven, who channeled something so vast through his music that people wept without understanding why. These were not men who feared women. These were men who understood that energy is finite, and they chose where to spend it. Now let's get honest about something most channels won't say. The modern world profits from your weakness. Pornography is a billion-dollar industry built entirely on your inability to control one impulse. Every time you click, you are not just losing energy. You are training your brain to associate the deepest masculine drive with passivity, with watching, with consuming. You become a spectator of life rather than a builder of it. Dopamine depletion is real. After ejaculation, prolactin rises and dopamine crashes. Your motivation drops. The desire to build, to compete, to create, it dulls. This is not philosophy, this is neurobiology. And the world takes advantage of that window. A man in that low state is easier to sell to, easier to distract, easier to keep scrolling, to keep consuming, numbing. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But here is what Marcus understood that most men miss. You cannot control the outside world if you cannot first master the internal one. And the most primal internal battlefield is the one between your discipline and your desire. Semen retention is not about hating women. It is not about being afraid of intimacy. It is about refusing to be a product of your impulses in a world that has engineered those impulses specifically to control you. So what happens when you hold the line? Most men who practice retention consistently report the same changes. And these are not placebo effects. They are the natural result of energy being redirected upward rather than expelled outward. First, clarity. The mental fog lifts. Decisions become sharper. You stop second-guessing yourself. This is the ojas rising. When the body is no longer in a constant cycle of depletion and recovery, the mind operates at a higher baseline. Second, presence. You walk differently. You speak differently. People notice something in your eyes they cannot name. This is not arrogance, it is groundedness. The energy that was leaking out of you is now held inside. And other people feel it, even when they cannot explain it. Third, purpose clarity. This is the one men underestimate. When your sexual energy is retained and transmitted, it begins searching for an outlet. And the most natural outlet it finds is your mission, your work, your craft. Suddenly, the channel you kept procrastinating about, you're filming it. The business you kept dreaming about, you're building. The book, the gym, the discipline. Transmutation is the word. It is alchemical. You are taking raw biological energy and converting it into creative and spiritual fuel. This is what Machiavelli understood about power. A man who masters himself first becomes nearly impossible to manipulate from the outside. Self-mastery is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. A recipe has 2 ingredients. Here is yours. Ingredient 1. Remove the triggers. You cannot retain while keeping pornography accessible. This is not discipline. This is insanity. Cut the source. Cold turkey. Your brain needs at least 90 days to begin rewiring the dopamine pathways that have been conditioned. Ingredient 2. Replace the energy. Retention without redirection creates pressure with no valve. You must give the energy somewhere to go. Cold showers, weightlifting, writing, fasting, prayer, meditation. Pick your weapon, but pick one. Ingredient 3. Guard your attention. Lust begins in the eyes. The ancient texts knew this. Sivananda called it drishti, the wandering gaze. If you're feeding your visual mind with provocative content all day, you are stoking a fire and wondering why you burn. Discipline your gaze. Ingredient 4. Build a streak with purpose, not pride. Most men fall off retention because they are counting days like a trophy. Day 30 becomes an ego. And ego is fragile. Instead, attach your retention to identity. Do not say, I'm on day 45. Rather, I'm a man who does not leak his power. The identity will hold when the streak mentality breaks. The world you are living in was not designed for your greatness. It was designed for your compliance. Every distraction, every cheap pleasure, every algorithm-fed craving, it all points in one direction. Keep you small, keep you spending, keep you soft. Semen retention is one of the oldest acts of defiance a man can commit against that system. It costs nothing. It requires no one's permission. And it returns to you something that by no account can money buy. Your own power. You're a lone warrior. That means you fight battles most men don't even know exist. This is one of them. If it spoke to something in you, not just your mind, but your guts, then you already know what you need to do. Share this with a man who needs to hear it. And come back, because we are just getting started. Stay hard.